Welcome to the Mindset Forge podcast. We're back. It's Barton Bryan, your host, always focused on helping men from 40 to 60 master this chapter of life. It's a tough one, right? Things are changing. We have to get more disciplined, build better habits, get strong, stay strong, not let our bodies go. There's so much to do. There's so many things to focus on, and we got to find different purpose. We can't be the same guy we were 25, 28, 35 years old. We have to transition and become better fathers, better human beings with more purpose and a better perspective on the future. Today is all about flexibility, and I'm speaking with my yoga instructor. His name is Jeff Cattan. He has been doing yoga for 12 years. He's 49 years old. He has a really unique perspective on how yoga has really helped him and other people really find vibrance and a full expression of their life. Not just through yoga, but also through what yoga allows them to do. Move well, be strong, have balance, things like that. So we're going to do a deep dive here in this 45-minute episode. Fantastic stuff. Give it a listen. And remember, sponsors for this episode are Iron Neck. Check out an Iron Neck, especially if you've got some neck tension, neck pain that just won't seem to go away, kind of lingers, especially when you work out. I use it. You know I do. Look in the show notes for a link. You'll get a discount, 15% off. And it's got a money-back guarantee. So they are so confident that you are going to absolutely love this device that they're going to give your money back in 30 days if you're not absolutely satisfied. All right, here we go. My interview with Jeff Cattan. All right, Jeff. So how important is flexibility, mobility in the yoga practice and how it can benefit men, especially in their 40s and 50s? Like, what is that from your experience? How important is that?
Well, it depends on the person. If the person is someone who is avid in working out or a runner, the body can be out of balance if we're doing one thing and not doing the other. For instance, if we're only contracting our muscles and not expanding them, the body can feel out of balance. And a lot of times injuries can happen that way. And you can just sometimes feel a little off, right? Sometimes your body feels tight and doesn't function properly, right? To bring a little bit of strength and flexibility to blend in with one another can bring the body back into balance. You can feel more youthful like we did when we were in our 20s or even in our teens. Flexibility allows for a more vibrant, agile feeling, and overall just really, really good for the wellness. And a lot of people think that stretching is just about lengthening, and it's really not. There's different types of stretching. There's kind of releasing the muscle to let gravity sort of have you and getting into the fascia and deep muscle tissue and the connective tissue. And there's stretching that where the muscle is engaged. So along with stretching the muscle, you're actually strengthening the muscle as well.
Yeah, I think there's, for people that don't do yoga or have only done it a couple of times, maybe some misconceptions about what yoga practice is or what the goal of it is. I think men in general, we tend to not stretch enough. But I also think that there's different types of stretching. And what I have found in doing yoga with you and other instructors is, as I'm getting deeper into the practice, just understanding how much strength, stability, and balance is actually a part of it, and that may be the thing that I needed to work on most. Like flexibility, yes, but as I'm going deeper into the different positions and how my body responds to that, there's so many layers to yoga, and there's so many layers to the mindset around yoga. For so many people, I think it may be the closest connection they're going to have to kind of an Eastern thought process or a non-Western perspective. And one of the things that you might hear in yoga is, whatever is going on with you, that's okay.
Right.
Whereas if you go to a boot camp or a workout class or you come into the gym to lift weights, like you have specific goals. I got to lift this weight. I got to move this many reps. I got to do this. I got to do all these things. And if I don't, I've somehow kind of failed at the practice, right? But in yoga, there's so often, especially at the beginning, I hear this from you and Eric and others, like just breathing for an hour. For some of us, that might be what we actually need right now. And this acceptance of where we are. Talk about that mindset and why that is so important in the practice of yoga.
no matter what kind of yoga you're doing, right? Power yoga, one breath, one movement, sweating your butt off, or if you're just sitting in stillness, or if you're just doing some light hamstring stretches. We utilize the body as a tool for presence. And when a yoga teacher says, come as you are, that's exactly what it is, right? So let's say you run 10 miles a day before, right? Your body, right? Your yoga practice the next day may not respond the way you want it to, right? If you set lofty goals, right, for doing, let's say, a headstand or a handstand, and you're not achieving that, and you get frustrated, it can bring you out of presence. It can bring you out of the kind of the harmonious, peaceful state that we like to be in and thrive in. And in that state, we are present with ourselves.
Yeah. And I think, too, with people, not just men, but men and women, and maybe it gets better as we get older. I think it has for me, but like our awareness of what others might be thinking about what we're doing. Is it good enough? Am I making a fool of myself? Like especially when you're out of your comfort zone and maybe the first time in a yoga class, or
Exactly.
and you don't have the flexibility to do the different stretches that other people around you are doing. It's easy to fall in this place of like, I'm not enough. I need to try harder.
Right.
And the conversation that the instructor, yourself, and others are having with us is like, it's okay. You might just want to, end up in child's pose for a few breaths here and like reset, but get back to that playful, present state. And I always attribute that to like childhood, like this childlike, healthy child, like not the child who feels unsafe, but the child who's able to just play and experience and be free and present and doesn't have a judgment over like, is it good enough yet? Like
Right.
It's just experiencing how their body moves and works.
Right.
Talk about that playfulness and how that ties into the presence of the yoga practice.
In a beginning practitioner, doesn't matter who you are, young, old, man, woman, doesn't matter. You're human, right?
Yeah.
So if you go into a yoga class and everyone looks like they're just rock star yogis, right? And you're the one who's not flexible, there can be a sense of competition. There can be a sense of inferiority because we are human, right? We are human. What I invite students to do is to be consistent with themselves. A lot of times I invite them to close their eyes, right? A lot of times I invite them to come to the powerful realization that no matter what level that you're at, what you're doing presently will benefit you tomorrow. So whenever you leave a yoga class, you'll be a little bit stronger than when you arrived. Mm-hmm. When you encounter funny stretches, you'll be a little bit more aware of your body and a little bit more flexible than when you arrived. It's difficult for some people to grasp that because we want instantaneous results, right? Mm-hmm. That's why gyms are crowded in January and they're back to normal in March because we want to go full throttle at first. Well, it's the consistency that works. And with that consistency, you realize there's a letting go of the competition that we can feel with the people who we feel like are a lot better at yoga than us. Mm-hmm. And through consistency and just mindful practice, we learn to let go of those things. Right. Let go of a little bit of ego.
So much of that is like our relationship with who we think we are in that moment. Like, are we as good as the people around us? Are we, if we feel new and out of place versus like, I've been doing this a while. I know what I'm doing. I know when you say, something in Sanskrit or what that I know what that is, or oh, that's chair pose, or oh, that's something that I know, and so it's not quite as new. You can relax a little bit into the practice, but I think I'm imagining my listeners are thinking, well, okay, I get the fact that flexibility is important, and there's a kind of a strength to that stability and balance. But talk about just in your experience, finding yoga practice. Like, what did you experience, not just in terms of your ability to be more flexible, but in your ability to be more kind of present in your body, strong, mobile, those types of things, and what you would like other people who kind of found yoga to experience?
Yoga is so much about the mind as it is the body. Mm-hmm. There's kind of a yoga mantra I've heard a lot of yoga teachers say. not so much being flexibility in your body, but being flexible in your mind. And that leads to a self-acceptance, right? A self-acceptance. We can set lofty goals. Maybe we want to do a headstand, maybe we want to do a handstand, or we want to do a splits. And we can work on those every day, and we can maybe never achieve our goals, right? But to allow ourselves to be self-accepting towards that, can be very, very empowering. But to feel, right, the progress that you make physically, right? Just to feel that in the body, just little itty bitty increments, no matter if you can touch your toes in 6 days, or if you can touch your toes in 6 weeks, or you can never touch your toes, but incrementally you feel maybe just a little bit more flexibility in your hamstrings, right? That's an empowering thing. And that does create a position and a practice of self-acceptance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a part of yoga, and I think that's I didn't start doing yoga to experience more self-acceptance, but I felt like in doing the practice and experience of those classes and experience really the self-acceptance around me too. Like you really feel that in the room. It's been a real benefit to it. And now it's really, I talked to my listeners last week about really finding something to do every day of the week. And that doesn't mean like go to the gym and like push weights every day of the week. That might not be the right course of action, but going for a hike, doing a yoga class, doing some meditation recovery, things like that. But having something we do every day that furthers our journey towards health. Yeah. And in my desire, because I love to go to the gym, I love to to have something to do every day. Putting yoga into my practice has really made a change in terms of how my body feels, but also how my strength is. Yeah. Like I feel like I'm recovering. I feel more fluid in my movements, and even when I go to do those heavier lifts, I feel more able to do things well without nagging injuries or pains or just kind of discomfort. Right. And so, what do you recommend for somebody who's kind of getting started or never done yoga? Like, how would you recommend they kind of put their toe in the water and try it?
Don't jump into the deep end first, right?
What does that mean?
Put your toe in the water. Yeah. Just sample. 5 minutes of light stretching a day. Fold over your legs. Something that feels like you're stretching the hamstrings. Something that feels uncomfortable. 5 minutes. Take deep breaths. 5 minutes. Explore how it is. Any time of the day, before workout, in the morning when you wake up, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah, doesn't matter. Any free time, right? Yeah. Any amount of free time. There's kind of another saying in yoga, right? We can set goals, but what happens when we get to those goals, right? And you had mentioned a word that caught my attention when you're speaking. It's a journey, right? Yoga's a journey, right? Yeah. We're a little bit different today than we were yesterday, right? Is it our goal to be a little bit better or different tomorrow than it is today? Well, yeah, why not, right? Why not? We can deepen into ourselves. We can learn a little bit more about ourselves. We can learn a little bit more about a community, learn a little bit more about our bodies, and at the same time, increase strength and increase flexibility. Small increments, right? Small increments. We're not going to be able to do a headstand 3 days into yoga, right? Yeah. But it's a journey. But let's say you finally do get that headstand. What's next? Well, who knows, right? I mean, the journey is your oyster, and who knows what will unfold for you. So small increments, right, is my recommendation. Start off small. There's a whole world of just basic information out there on the interwebs, right? Hamstring stretches, hip stretches. Take it small. Take it light. So let's say somebody's done a few, I know there's different types of classes, and we obviously, you coach or teach at Lifetime Fitness, and that's where I go. So there's kind of some basic, you got Hatha yoga, Ashtanga, there's flow type yoga classes. What are the ones that kind of like are good introductory classes, just anywhere you go? It really all depends on the practitioner. Okay. There's hot classes, there's non-hot classes. There's vigorous movement classes, there's stillness classes. Yoga, no one format is one size fits all. You can go to one class. You can have a preconceived notion of what yoga is. It's hot. It's sweaty. Everyone around you is doing handstands and splits. And you're like, I'm never coming back, right? Never coming back. But if you experience maybe a different type of yoga, something that wasn't hot, something that's a little bit more gentle, to be able to sample what resonates with individuals, is to try new things,
Right.
and just spaciously there, the body loves variety, right? The body loves variety. The body loves, contraction. The body loves expansion, going back to the stretching part.
Yeah.
The same way it is with our yoga practice, to give a sampling of ourselves, to test the waters of what each yoga practice has to offer us is a good way to start. A curious mind.
Yeah.
A curious mind. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's something that I've been enjoying is doing a flow class, like on a Sunday morning, kind of wake up, go to flow class, and I sweat
Yeah.
more than I think anybody in the class. It's a workout. It is not I did not recover that day.
Right.
I need to recover from the yoga class. So it's definitely something that I put in as a workout. But then I'll find another class, like maybe yours, like a hatha or something like that, that's much slower, that doesn't have the heat built in, that doesn't have vigorous kind of flow movements that are very challenging, and allows me to really feel like I'm recovering, releasing tension, and processing stress.
Yeah.
And I walk out of there, I feel like, oh gosh, that was great for today's recovery session. And I think that's cool to see that yoga can be a workout. And I know there's even some that are very like core power yoga, or like that really try to make it cardio and yoga, and you're sweating up a storm, and it's a all encompassing thing. So I think if you're interested, try different options out there, kind of get a sense for what they are.
And let me add to that, different teachers as well.
Totally.
Different teachers have so much to offer, and we live in a very saturated yoga community, so there are thousands of teachers out there who have a different lens to offer. Now, is it realistic that you can tap into every one of them? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right? But to find something that resonates with you, there's something probably out there for you.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Like, I have, bounced around, tried different teachers. Sometimes it's always, it's what times they teach. But when you find somebody you feel like, I know I'm going to get a great workout, there's always tends to be a lesson, especially in what you're doing, what Erica does, and such. And so, as somebody who's 48, there's like a kind of a joy to like, hey, I wonder what Jeff's got for us for today.
Absolutely.
What lesson are we learning within the practice of yoga? And so that's cool. Talk about yoga historically. Like, I think people know it's from kind of Eastern religion. Some people might know it's from kind of India and has deep roots 2,500 years ago. But what's the kind of root of yoga, and how did it kind of come about? So that people have a little bit of perspective on just the history.
In the West, yoga is pretty contemporary.
Sure.
Brought over here maybe, 100, 150 years ago.
But really blew up about 20 years, 20, maybe 30.
Yeah.
I don't remember it in the 90s, so not so much.
It was probably looked as something weird, something as weird in the 90s, and probably the 2000s started to get more acceptance. But the practice, according to, our, historical records, about 5,000 years old, thereabouts, but that's according to recorded history,
Right.
Paintings of yoga poses on cave walls and things like that. About 2,000, 2,500 years ago, this guy, or these guys, who knows, named Patanjali, came up with what's called the 8 limbs of yoga. Basically, 8 limbs of yoga are standards of living as far as our character. There are things almost like the 10 Commandments called the yamas and niyamas, which are the first 2 limbs. The yamas being restraints, the niyamas being observances, right? So that's more about how we are internally as a person. And then it goes on the next, 6 limbs into the breath work, into the physicality, into the things that you do to allow things to happen to you. That was probably about 2,500 years ago. And if you can just kind of think of how yoga matriculated and was popular over, in India and the Far East, and was brought over here, we're in its infancy here in the West in the United States as far as the value and the education.
Right.
Because there's many, many texts that can be applied to the yoga practice, that can be applied to our spiritual self, to develop good character, to develop good habits, to be kinder, and things like that. They all kind of revolve and can be incorporated into a physical yoga practice.
And, and that's one of the things that I actually enjoy about it is there's kind of it's not a spiritual experience, but there's an opportunity in the experience of doing yoga to just go a little bit deeper inside yourself and maybe feel something that you don't allow yourself to feel during the day because of all the stimulus that we're experiencing.
I like to call that side effects.
Yeah,
right?
I like that. Yeah, you're going there for fitness. You're going there to stretch and to kind of connect with your body, but there are side effects.
There's an amazing relationship between our mind, our body, and the intangible, like our soul or spirit or source, right? Something like that, or consciousness, right? Yeah. When you dive skillfully into the body and you pay attention to the tool that we use as a vehicle for presence, things just happen, right? Things that are unconscious to us start to unfold for us and start to reveal themselves to it. The old axiom, right? The cream always rises to the top. Mm-hmm. Well, we're not sure what that cream is metaphorically, right? Yeah. But when we practice and we're conscious of our breathing and we're present with ourselves and our bodies, you feel things start to come to the surface and you're like, oh, what is that? Yeah. I have a sense of peace. Where does that come from? We didn't try to get it, right? We went to yoga to be more flexible and stronger, right? Yeah. Yeah. There's a cute instructor, right? We want to go and see her, right? And it's like, but something happened while I was there. Something happened while I was there, and I felt something. I felt present. I felt more joyful. I couldn't wipe the smile off of my face when I left the studio, right? So things that I like to call the side effects of yoga that just kind of seem to happen to people.
Right. Now, every once in a while I'll think, okay, I'll go to a yoga class and then I'll go finish up my workout or I'll do a little workout. And I've never done it. I've always walked out of yoga and I'm like, I feel too good. I have no interest in like tensing my body right now. Yeah. I could go do cardio, but I'm just in a different mental state that does not in that moment feel like it makes any sense to go directly to the weight room and start, doing whatever exercise. They don't, and I don't attribute to that one's bad and one's good. It's just, it puts me in a state of presence and relaxation that I kind of enjoy and want to kind of let that lead me into wherever the next place I'm going. So I tend to want to go recover more, go to the sauna or the pool, or go home and listen to music and that kind of stuff.
Physiologically, what you're tapping into, yoga releases endorphins, right? Sure. It releases those wonderful hormones that make us feel good, right? Physiologically, deep breathing, right, allows us to relax our central nervous system, right? Right. That we stay in parasympathetic nervous system instead of our sympathetic nervous system, which is fight, flight, or flee, right? To be able to do something very vigorous and to feel like that you are in a calm state, right? With your parasympathetic nervous system, right? Your rest, relax, digest system.
Your body's in a process of kind of healing and digesting, and it's that is what recovery really is. It's like we work out, we have stress, we have anxiety, all these things create sympathetic tension, stress. All those things kind of show up in our physicality oftentimes. And we do that. We do the yoga, we do breathing, we do meditation, we take a day off, we go for a hike. So, those types of things can put us in a parasympathetic state. Also, sauna, cold plunging, those types of things are known to help with that type of recovery. But all that is to say, that's exactly what I feel. I'm in a parasympathetic state, and the last thing I want to do is go rev it up again.
Yeah. And that state of calm, that state of of relaxation and being that sense of ease. In Sanskrit, it's called sukha, right? Sukha, ease, right? To be in that state is a wonderful, wonderful feeling, right? You feel relaxed. Who doesn't want to feel relaxed? Who doesn't want to feel calm, you know? Who doesn't want to feel like they're present with themselves, you know? We have a lot of people in society who are adrenaline junkies, who like thrive on stress and things like that. That's almost a misconception because although they may feel like they're accomplishing more, what they're doing is just taking away from their bodies. To be able to learn or discipline the body to be able to stay relaxed when we're in anxious moments, like you're stuck in traffic, or you have an uncomfortable conversation with a parent-teacher, right? Your kid is doing something in school, or something like that. To be able to feel that you have a practice or a discipline to stay relaxed during those situations is, going back to the word side effect, is a side effect of the yoga. And just on the opposite of that, we actually are kind of taking away a lot of the wellness qualities physiologically when we're always in a state of sympathetic nervous system engagement.
Well, and I've had somebody explain this to me, and I love the concept because it actually fits with the word. Working out is like we're pushing outward, right? We're taking energy and we're pushing it outward. We're creating a stress on the body that it needs to recover from. When you stress your muscles out and there's proper recovery, you get stronger, right? You create a stress on the body, it adapts to that stress, it gets stronger, right? But if we don't have moments where we're actually recovering, where we're in parasympathetic, then we don't recover, even if we're taking a day off, but where life is stressed and we're like have a bad relationship with our spouse, or our work is crazy and we're just all over the place. Our body is not really recovering. We're not falling back into parasympathetic. So we're just kind of living in that, adrenaline charged, fight or flight space. And that's where people can really end up kind of hitting a wall and getting sick, injured, and that type of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you say working out. I always kind of say this. Yoga isn't necessarily a workout, although I use that terminology. Sure, I mean, it's physical, the body. It's you're working within.
Yeah,
right.
Like it is truly like. Well, I would say a flow class with Erica on a Sunday is a workout, like no question.
Absolutely right.
And I love that, and I think the yoga, when it's a recovery style yoga, is very much like a filling the cup. Yeah, that like you're draining the cup by working out at the gym, by doing something vigorous. You need to fill the cup back up, and that's where that restorative yoga, or just stretching for a period of time. And guys, like as you're thinking about whether it's adding 5 minutes a day, or just going somewhere to stretch, I think is a beautiful thing to think about. Like you could stretch in your bedroom right before bed. But when you're in your own space and your kids or life is all around, your phone's buzzing, like it's very unlikely that you're going to get in any kind of like a quiet, peaceful state. If you travel somewhere, a park, a gym space, maybe you go to your office on a weekend where no one's there and it's quiet and you can just stretch. Like go somewhere to find a moment where you can really just be with yourself and because that creates an experience of parasympathetic. It creates an experience of like, I'm doing this to recover, to find peace, to find greater kind of expansion of the body. And that's what yoga can also be, going to a specific yoga class that has that purpose to really like, let go and fill back up can be that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a word yoga teachers like to use, and that's containment, right? Can we feel that we're kind of in our little container, right? Do we feel that we are not blocking out necessarily outside distractions, but kind of working within them, And then the irony of life, we all get 24 hours, but we all choose to fill it differently, right? To be able to effectively and skillfully manage your time, right? To carve out time for yourself, whether that be exercising or stretching or meditation, or just being able to be with yourself and just sitting around taking deep breaths is extremely helpful. You don't have to practice an hour a day, right? Slowing down when you're walking, closing your eyes and taking one deep breath may take 5 to 7 seconds. And it's very powerful, right? It's very powerful. What does your best friend tell you when something stressful happens to you? Dude, just take a deep breath. And what you're doing is you're giving yourself a little micro meditation. And essentially, no matter what kind of yoga you're practicing, it is, in a sense, meditation. Whether you're sweating your butt off in Erica's class, or you're stretching in my class, or you're restoring in, Anna's class. You know, it's just taking that time out for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that I also experienced just with yoga is it's predominantly a practice that women do. I mean, there's definitely men to do it, but I would say similar to group fitness, it's probably 80-20. Maybe more in yoga.
The national average I read is 70-30. 70-30.
Right. But I would say a lifetime. It's probably
a little more, yeah.
Which is not to say, hey guys, go to the yoga class to meet girls. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like, I feel like why are these women going to this class? Why does this resonate with them? There's a peace, there's a calmness, there's a self-acceptance. These are things that the moms, our spouses, the women of society are tapping into to get, deeper into who they are and experience life fuller. And I think it's an interesting perspective as a guy there, probably more I'm there to get flexible and to like not injure myself when I'm working out. That's predominantly the goal of me being there, but there's other side effects. But one of the things I notice is just like, wow, okay, all these women are really devoted to this practice. What does that say about what they're seeking in their experience of life and fitness versus? And I think that to me, I don't have the answer specifically, but I imagine like, less judgment, less self-criticism, less appearance-driven focus. Because the lights are down, there's music, everyone's really focused on their own practice. It's a calm, kind of peaceful place to be, and I think that's interesting because I think if you go to a gym, you're gonna a lot of guys puffing their chests out, walking around, kind of checking themselves out in the mirror and checking each other out to see who's the strong guy, or and even women checking each other's, to see who looks better and all that. You have all that. That's not going away. That's part of gym culture.
Right.
But this is kind of the anti-experience in terms of like whatever you're seeing in the weight room at the gym, you almost get the opposite reflection in the yoga studio.
I could think there could be a lot of preconceived notions, a lot of machismo and a lot of ego. Why do guys like to go to the gym, right? To get bigger. Well, why do you want to be bigger? To be stronger. Well, why do you want to be stronger? To look better. Right, and things like that. Right, ultimately it comes down to something. Right.
We get a lot of confidence from feeling strong, powerful, and kind of self-disciplined.
Yeah.
Right.
Alpha.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I take care of myself, so I can take care of others potentially.
Right.
Right. That's maybe.
Absolutely.
But yeah, there's the ego. There's the inadequacy. There's other things baked into a lot of that. But yeah. People want to look good. They want to feel good. They want to represent strength and virility or whatever.
Yeah. As far as women, I can't
speak for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's a little bit different, but I mean, a lot of the yoga poses, they're beautiful. I mean, they just look aesthetically beautiful.
It's like a dance pose.
Yeah, and I think if a guy goes in there or has the preconceived notion that I don't want to do something feminine,
that's a good point.
You know what I mean? There can be some ego and some machismo in there. There's a preconceived notion that yoga is all about stretching, and that's a huge part of it because we want to create balance in the body. But a lot of times when I see some of the weightlifters, the big bodybuilders in Lifetime come in and take a yoga class, they're novice because their body is not responding to Their body is responding to something that is foreign to them because they're just used to contraction, right? They're used to contraction. They're used to dynamic movement, right? Movement, lifting things up and setting them back down, lifting things up, setting them back down. A lot of the yoga strength physically is isometric, right? So if you're in a lunge, right, you think that you're pushing out away, right, like you would do a squat in the gym. And essentially, it's just the opposite. Think of it as contracting the muscles isometrically, right, and strengthening the body this way, right, which is tapping into variety, right? Another way the body can be felt, another way the body can get strong.
Right. And you're at the end range of your range of motion. So like, whereas, let's say bench press or something like that, like you're moving the bar through a range of motion that you have the most strength, right? But when you get to the end range of your range of motion of that joint, your body naturally has less and less strength as closer you get to the end range of that stretch, right? And so if you're in a lunge, if I'm lunging in the gym with dumbbells, I'm going to drop my knee down, but it's like I'm moving through range of motion to try to build muscle, try to create more contraction, all that kind of stuff. But when I'm in a deep lunge at yoga and I'm holding that posture, I'm trying to kind of find as much strength and length in the deepest part of that range of motion, as at the same time engaging all the right muscles, right? So the knee doesn't want to buckle in, and the body's staying long. The body and the torso are long,
right?
And the arms might be reaching out if I'm in some of a warrior pose, stuff like that. So there's just so many other things that are going on that the typical weightlifter guy, bodybuilder, something like that, just is not doing on a daily basis. So that's of course like foreign to them. They struggle with it and all that, and it's but I always respect the big guy that I was at Erica's class on Sunday, and there was this guy next to me who was just like me, just dying, like sweating all over the place, like in child's pose several times.
Right.
And he was in there, and he was like, we kind of dapped each other at the end. I'm like, hey, what's your name? Like, yeah. And we kind of like knew that we understood each other's experience because because it was so difficult. And that was, but hey, respect that we're there, right? Doing that.
If you bring the body into doing something energetically that it's not used to doing, essentially what we're doing is educating ourselves, with our bodies. Yeah. And when we deepen the relationship with our bodies, we do deepen the relationship with ourselves. Even if it's just physiologically, understanding how the body works more effectively, what the body can do, what the body is capable of doing. And we can manifest our strength in many, many different ways, right? Who's stronger, someone who can bench press 300 pounds or someone who can, hold a tall plank for 15 minutes, Yeah. It depends, right? Who's stronger, right?
Depends on what.
There's no level of who's stronger or not. It's feeling what type of strength is that? What type of strength can I move towards? Yeah. And what type of strength am I curious to become? Work towards mastery, I'll say. Right? Work towards mastery. Those are empowering things, right? Develop that, deepen that relationship with our bodies, right? Yeah. We're always with our bodies, right?
Well, that's one of the other things I do really enjoy about yoga is the self-discovery, the kind of exploration of like what can the body do? What can I experience in this practice? I can feel myself getting stronger, getting more flexible, and those types of things. But I'm also feeling myself kind of, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relaxing more, releasing more, being more present in what I'm doing. So it's a very holistic, experience where I think for some things like running or going to the gym or in any sport, you can really like ride one part of that, like just the, like you talked about the adrenaline or you can kind of like just be driven to do the one thing or push yourself, and it can be very singularly focused. Whereas, and I guess yoga can too if you just use it for one thing, but I think it has the opportunity to kind of tap different layers of experience that we're going through, and I love that about yoga. And I think for guys, if you haven't done yoga or if it's something that you know, like, hey, you've been told, or you can tell in the gym that mobility, flexibility, range of motion, those things are a challenge for you, then this might be something that you just add in little by little. Maybe you stretch for a few weeks for 5 minutes. Maybe you make a goal to go to one yoga class, at the local studio, or they're all over the place. You'll find one. A lot of times they're free. A lot of times there's yoga in the park, things like that you can find in calendars for your the city pages, that kind of stuff. But try it out and just start to kind of dip your toe in that water, because I promise you, long term, because the whole longevity movement that's with Dr. Peter Attia and those guys talking about, like, we're going to live to be 90, 95. Like, we have the capacity with what we're learning today, with like staying healthy, how exercise and flexibility, all those things, like, keep us alive longer. There's no reason, if you're 45 or 50, that you're not halfway through your life, that you don't have another 45 or 50 years left, right? And if you can keep your mobility and your strength, holy crap, you're going to have an incredible second half of your journey.
Yeah, the word I use incessantly, vibrance, right? Yeah. Vibrance. A yoga body, right, is a vibrant body. And a vibrant body, you feel amazing. It's extremely empowering. It's hard to describe into words, but you just feel bright. You feel vibrant. Yeah. I've been practicing for about 12 years now. Been consistent with my practice for 12 years. And there's some things, sometimes people will take a picture of me or something like that. It's aside from, like bricks and straps and things like that, like props you'd use in yoga, you're just utilizing what you have, right? Yeah. Your body, right? Body weight, resistance, stretching, balancing, things like that. And looking at my practice, how it has evolved, there are, how do I say this? I'm kind of sheepish about this. Otherworldly things that I've been able to accomplish with my body that I never thought humanly possible, not ego-driven competition and show off, right? But empowering. It's like, oh man, I've come to this point, right? What's next for me, right? Yeah. We keep going and finding out. Yeah. It's such an amazing thing just to feel that your body is vibrant, that how that can impact or reflect on your emotions, how that can linger into your relationships in the community, your friends, your family, your kids, and things like that. There's no negatives that can really be taken out of it when we're mindful in diving into our body and exploring how our strength can be manifested.
Yeah. Last week, you started the practice. You were talking about if you were going to write a book, right, and this yoga practice was going to be answer some of the questions or allow you to explore kind of topics of that book, like how would you took us into this idea of like telling your story and using yoga to kind of explore and it was a really unique way to think about it. And here we are with all of these books, biographies, autobiographical stories about people's lives and such. And I think about that. And I think about like, my story. What would I talk about? How would I share? How would I tell my story? And I feel like the journey of self-discovery, through fitness, through yoga, through whatever we are doing is the most important part of more important than losing weight and getting to a certain number. Yeah. More important than like having, your doctor say, hey, your blood work's good. Like if you can fall in love with the journey of self-discovery and just like finding excitement by being a little bit better at something or discovering something that you didn't think you'd be able to do again. And as we get older, that door starts to close slowly. We are getting older. There's nothing that can stop us from getting older year after year, but we can still find, things with our body, with our journey through exercise that can lead us to unlock and experience things that we never experienced even when we were, had full capacity of, movement and strength and, all this testosterone, all this. We may have not been slowing down enough to truly like embrace what we can embrace right now, which is why I think this part of our journey, this kind of, and you're about my age, I'm 48, you know, we're
Yeah, I'm 49.
49. So, you know, we're in kind of almost a halfway point of that 40 to 60, very different kind of chapter of our life that we have to really lean into the discipline and the practice and the quietness of this part of the journey so that we can, you know, navigate, you know, well and come out the other side like healthy and happy. And I love your word, vibrant.
Vibrant, yeah.
Like
Vibrant.
It's how
I use it
light,
all the time. Yeah.
Vibrant, yeah. So be vibrant. You know, let's think about this conversation that Jeff and I have had here. Think about ways that you can, you know, do some more stretching. Maybe sign up for a yoga class. If you're in Austin, you know, Lifetime Fitness got great yoga classes, but they're happening all over. And so, you know, put that as a challenge to yourself to go experience something in the next few weeks and see if you can make it a part of your discipline, because it can only make you better at all the things that you're trying to achieve in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the benefits. Think of goals that you have, and then think boundless benefits from there. Right. You have no idea what doors can open, what doors will open up after that, and to be able to be empowered through those opportunities is a wonderful way to live.
Well, I really feel like yoga can unlock parts of yourself that you didn't even know you needed to unlock.
Well
like
said. Well said.
We oftentimes think about the things that we like. I want to get stronger. Well, check that. Every guy wants to get stronger, right? Like, I want to build muscle. I want to have a six pack. Like, okay, we all want that stuff, you know, for the most part. But what if you did something like yoga that helped you be healthy, strong, and free, but then also like unlock some things with your, you know, just self-acceptance and your kind of spiritual self that you never even saw coming, and can add a totally different layer to what you're already, you know, what your journey is. And I think that's the exciting thing too.
The wellness potential is unlimited.
Yeah.
Unlimited.
All right, Jeff, thanks so much, man. High five up here, buddy.
Awesome.
This is awesome.
Yes, sir.
Namaste.
Trevin, namaste.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
As we wrap up this episode, remember what Jeff and I just talked about, right? Let's incorporate stretching into your routine. Even if it's 5 minutes a day, at the end of the day or at the end of your workout. You know, there's a lot of different ways to do it. If you stretch prior to your workout or prior to a run, you need to make sure it's mobility focused. That means moving through flexibility. If it's at the end of a workout, then just static stretching, like holding in a position 45 seconds to a minute, like a hamstring stretch or a hip stretch or something like that, is effective. If you go to my YouTube channel, you can find a bunch of different stretches for post-workout, pre-workout, all that kind of stuff that can help guide you a little bit better. Or join a yoga class. Go check out something. I would recommend more of a hatha style yoga at first versus like flow or vinyasa or ashtanga or things like that, which are a little bit more complicated or advanced. Hatha is really slow and specific. There's not the heat component which a lot of the yoga classes offer, so it's very easy to focus, do your best, and not feel overwhelmed. Okay, adding yoga in, adding stretching in. Let's make sure our joints are flexible, mobile, and healthy so that we can keep moving heavy weight, we can keep working out, and we can stay fit, healthy, and live a long damn time. Thanks for listening to the Mindset Forge podcast.